It's all about gnomes this Christmas. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, August the 24th, 2020, vlog number 182, and it's the 166th day of COVID isolation from March the 15th. That's where I started my count from, because that's when things went south for us here in my country. So let's get right into current projects. Behind me you can see my latest one. This is my Christmas table runner. It's quite long. Actually, it's fairly big. So it's either a table runner or it could actually be used as a bed runner as well. Now the individual little pieces that are on here, let me get my microphone cord untangled. These are applique. They're in the hoop applique, which means that I had my embroidery machine actually do them, which means that you put down the fabric, it shows you where to put it, it tacks it down, then you take it off the embroidery machine, you trim all the way around it, you put it back on the embroidery machine, and it finishes up with a satin stitch around each element. Originally, I thought of making this into a quilt, because I have several of these appliques, which are actually from a kit, or actually it was a CD-ROM. Whoa, there's an old term, right? CD-ROMs, nothing comes on CD-ROMs anymore. To make a quilt, and it had about 14 different or 10 different applique patterns, and the idea is you would do them as a square, build around them, put them all together, and make a quilt. But I didn't like the quilt that it was showing, and to be honest, I didn't like some of the appliques that were there either. They were in my mind a little juvenile, and I try to stay away from things that look like they're more appropriate for a kid's project, that kind of thing. So these four were ones that I thought were worth doing, so I did them, and then I thought, well, I can't really see doing a whole quilt with these appliques. I mean, it could be done, yes, and it has been done, I'm sure, by many people. But instead, I built around each of those center squares a series of flying geese to give the diamond effect, or star effect, depending on how you look at it, and put them together, added a border, and then what I've done that I've never done before on anything is I added these little points. And these points are called prairie points. And I really like the effect of the prairie points. And you know, they're not hard to do. I was really surprised. It's probably why I never did them before, because I thought they were beyond me, but they're not. They're not hard at all. And believe it or not, with the numbers that are there, you can assemble them relatively fast. So I have it all quilted as well. I know you can't see it. It's just a wavy line in a variegated thread. I didn't get into anything fancy on it. And the backing is this red color as one solid piece. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I didn't bind it. I did what they call, I'm never sure what it's called, but I call it the pillow slip method, where basically you put the backing and the backing on, and the backing and the batting, that's what I want to say on, and then you turn it inside out, or you do it so it is outside, inside out, and then you turn it inside right. Yeah, you get the point. But anyways, so yeah, but it did turn out pretty big. So it's either for a really big dining room table, or it's for, like I said, it could be a bed runner. And that's what I'm thinking it's going to be right now, is a bed runner. Now, actually, I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I may gift it at around Christmas time, and that's what I'm doing right now a lot more of. I'm creating things that could be potential Christmas gifts. What I mean by potential, I've got rented lips today. I gotta have a little more coffee. What I mean by potential Christmas gifts is we don't give gifts in my family at Christmas anymore to each other. You know, beyond maybe a box of chocolates or a bottle of wine, something like that, and not even that probably. Mainly because, what do you buy people at our age? You know, we've got everything. I don't even buy for my nieces and nephews anymore because they're all grown up, they're adults, basically. Now, I would like to eventually make a quilt for my nieces and nephews, but I haven't got around to it. Mind you, I have thought of having them, when the COVID thing is over, whenever that will be, come over, take a look at the quilts I have made and pick one out for themselves. Because, you know, quite frankly, my quilts are just sitting on a quilt rack, over the back of a couch, on my guest bed. They're piling up, and, you know, I'm done with them. Once I've made them, admired them, taken a picture of them, I'm done with them. And I really don't go back and look at them or roll in them, okay? It's the project, it's the journey I like. As I've said this before, I like the whole process of sewing, putting it together, and that kind of thing. But after it's done, I move on to the next project. So I've got, and I've said it before, and I still haven't done it, I've got to give away some of my quilts. But for Christmas things, back to that, I'm sort of not stockpiling, but I'm making things for Christmas. I made a whole bunch of things at Christmas last year for us that will come out at Christmas time again. How many more do I need, really? I'm not a big decorator at Christmas time. I basically limit my decorating to one room, and that's where we have a tiny tree. We used to have a big tree. We still have it. It's in a box somewhere, but you know, no, Christmas bah humbug. So I've got this in my stockpile, and I've also made a set of 4 Christmas place mats. I did them over the weekend. And remember I told you I bought this hideous blue Christmas fabric? I like blue as a Christmas color, but then I like blue any time of the year, really. But blue and silver, I sometimes lean more towards those than traditional green and red. Now on that one it's traditional green and red. But I bought this hideous blue fabric and I don't know what to do with it. So I bought some other blue fabrics, and then I went through my stash and found some fat quarters in different blue fabrics, and I decided to do a very simple placemat design. It's kind of a flip and cut or something they call it, where essentially you lay down 4 pieces of fabric, you square them up, cut them into strips, rearrange the strips, sew those strips together, cut them again, and flip them and sew them, and you've got a placemat. And so this is the design of the placemat. It's very simple, but each one, it's a set of 4. This is just one of the out of the set of 4. Each one is the layout of the rows is slightly different. Same fabric, just slightly different. Then I added my own border to it, and I did this again as a pillowcase kind of binding, or blanket binding. Maybe it's called blanket binding. I don't know. I have to look that up, get the right term. And then I let the machine quilt it for me. Now, this is the first time since I've got the new machine that I've ventured into the world of quilting again using the machine. Small projects like this are really easy to do. So I know you can't see it very well. Bring it up a little closer. I mean, the darker you can see it down there. That's the design. It's actually 2 designs that I kind of combined together. It's a little tricky to do because you have to move your fabric after, you know, one of the designs is done and trying to get it lined up, but I think I got that down pretty good. And you can see it better on the back, because on the back I used just my bobbin thread, white thread on it. The front I used a silver, because I didn't want to stand out too much because the fabric itself is fairly busy. But this is the ugly fabric that I was talking about. Now on here it doesn't look so ugly, but I was not pleased with it when I got it. It was my own fault. I mean, you know, not where I bought it online. It looked to me better online than it did in person, but that's what happens sometimes. You take that chance. But on the back of a placemat with some quilting on it, it actually looks not half bad. So as I said, I have 4 of these made. Actually, I have 3. After the vlog's over, I have to finish the quilting on the 4th one, and then there's 4 done. And I'm just going to put them in a bag and label it and say, okay, another possibility is a Christmas gift. You know, for all those fabulous parties you get invited to at Christmas time and you want to take a hostess gift. Yeah, there's something wrong with that statement. 1, I don't think there's going to be fabulous Christmas parties this year for obvious reasons. And 2, even if there were, we don't usually get invited. Don't know why. I guess, well, my age group's a little bit older. They don't tend to do a lot of that kind of thing. So anyways, I'm kind of stockpiling some potential Christmas gifts. I'm thinking of giving this one to our next door neighbors. Last year I gave them a table runner and placemats to go with it. You know, it's starting to set a bad precedent, really, starting giving the neighbors Christmas presents. But they usually give us, you know, she does some home cooking, some home baking and things like that, which is very nice. You know, she's got some really nice little mince tarts that she gives us and things like that. And I'm not a baker, but I'm a quilter, so, you know. And I know she would appreciate it. She has talked about me possibly making a quilt. She's never gone further than that. I think she's afraid to ask, but she shouldn't be. I'd gladly make a quilt for her, free. I mean, I'm not going to charge them. I just like doing it, like I said. But anyways, we'll see down the road. So that's where I'm thinking this one might go. Don't know yet for sure. Okay, dwelled on that a little longer than I thought. And that's really all I've been working on. I have some more plans for things. I really got to get that Christmas quilt I did that I showed you a week ago. I haven't quilted it yet. Again, I get the tops done and then I stall out when it comes to the quilting. I get afraid and I gotta get over that. Just do it. Just do the damn thing. Just do it. Okay, so YouTube channel of the week is another comedy channel. This guy, Joe Lycett, I think is how you say his name. He's a British comedian. I've seen him on several of those British game shows that we've been watching that we really like. He's very funny there. He also has his own television show on the BBC, and I talk about that in the little review today. But check this out. This week's YouTube channel is one all about comedy. This is another British comedian, and you know I do love British comedy. And this is by a comedian called Joe Lycett. Now, he appears on many of the BBC game shows that I have previously reviewed here on YouTube channel of the week. But he also has his own channel, which is a BBC series called Joe Lycett's Got Your Back. Now, this is where he looks at consumer complaints and he investigates them, but he does it in a very comic way. Now, I have to admit, out of all of this comedy that I have seen, his stand-up comedy and what he does when he's on BBC game shows, I find this particular show not all that entertaining. In fact, I kind of find it a little bit stupid. But nevertheless, he's worth checking out because his type of humor in that kind of venue may be for you. But beyond that, go beyond the link that I have given you in the show notes today. Just do a search for Joe Lycett and you're going to find a lot of his stand-up comedy, which I do find quite refreshing and quite humorous. So that's Joe Lycett on YouTube. So the link to that YouTube channel is in the show notes. So is Stephen and Walter Live. This week was sort of a potpourri. We just went with the flow. To be honest, we're running out of specific topics to talk about with the exception of COVID, and we really tried this week to stay away from it, but we still ended up at some point talking about it. And I'm probably going to end up talking a little bit about it today too. It's just unavoidable, isn't it? Really. But we tried and we had a nice little chat that went from one thing to the next, and we don't have a problem with that. In fact, I kind of enjoy doing that. People bring up something or want to know about this or make a comment, and we springboard from there. And I think that's what we're going to do for the next little while, because I think it's more interesting. It's more interesting for us than sticking to a really specific topic. Now, if a specific topic comes up and we think it's of interest to people, then we will talk about that. But for now, we're just going to sort of be more laid back. Well, we're fairly laid back anyways on those. And just talk about whatever comes up. And hopefully we can steer the conversation away from COVID and politics, because those are the two things that are on most of our minds right now. Our brains need a rest from those topics. There's a link to the book of the week, which we'll come to in a few minutes. There is a Idiot Quilter episode 78 where I share in more detail some of my projects and things, and plans for Christmas as well in terms of projects. And I also have a link to the my art journal Zoom meeting. Now, just want to say a couple of words about this. We had our art journal Zoom meeting. This is my group of ladies that back in the old days, we used to get together on the first Sunday of every month at Class Act, our local scrapbooking store, and work on our art journals. And I would usually teach a new technique, or we'd share ideas and products and things like that. We decided to continue on having these, but we're having them virtually. It's more of a discussion now than it is an actual session where we can work on things, mainly because people's computers are not all conveniently located in their craft area. But we get together twice now a month, the first and the third Sunday of the month, and the Zoom meetings are only about an hour long, seems to be what they're averaging out. We just do a show and share. What have you been working on? New products. And you know, I got thinking as we were going through this. I was recording them, but it was a private. I posted on my YouTube channel, but it's a private link, meaning nobody else could see them except the people in the Art Journal group. But I bounced the idea off of them as to whether or not we could make them public, because I'm finding that everybody is sharing different products and different ideas, and it's really a wealth of information that I think a lot of crafters, both beginner and advanced, would get a lot of useful information from. I mean, there's ideas, there's product reviews, and it's all done very informally, and it's done by real people who use these things. So nobody's getting paid for this. No one's being sponsored by any of these companies that make the products. You're getting an honest review of these things. Plus, I learned this week about the difference between cold press and hot press watercolor paper, and what works on it and what doesn't work on it. Now that, I think, is valuable information, because that's stuff I did not know before. And that just came from one of the members in the group. It's very serendipitous the way that it all happens, because it's not like I plan and say, hey, you're going to talk about, watercolor paper, you're going to talk about this new stamp set. No, it just happens organically. Whoa, able to work in two words that I don't usually use into two sentences. Okay, serendipitous and organic. And out of those two, one word I hate is organic, but I'm not going to get onto that. So everybody agreed. In fact, what we decided to do was, if we had private things that we want to discuss with the group, because this group, we've become fairly close. We've been doing this for 3 years, coming together. So, we know each other pretty well. By now, we're friends. And so we decided that anything that we want to discuss that's of more private nature, we don't want out there in the general public, then we stop the recording. So we do everything at the beginning that we're going to record, and then when the recording is done, when I turn that off, then we talk about anything that might be a more personal issue. So nobody has to worry about their personal information, or putting something out there to the public that the public shouldn't have. So the first one is up. You can check it out. You may want to fast forward through certain parts of it. And that's what we're going to do from now on. And I hope that people will glean information from it. Now, I don't know if anybody will ask this, but there may be some people that would like to join in the group. I don't know. I would be okay with that, but I'm not sure if the other ladies in my group would be okay with something like that. But if by chance you would really like to be part of it, then you can let me know, and I will bounce the idea off the ladies and see. They may feel that that's going to break down the, what we already have that we've established between, the bunch of us. There's only 9 of us in the group. And as I said, we've been together for about 3 years. So, but I mean, if you have a real desire or something after you see how it works, then let me know, and not making any promises, but I will ask the ladies how they feel about bringing new people into the group. And if they don't think it's a problem, then I don't have a problem with it. But if they do feel it's a problem, then no. Because it's their group, okay? Essentially. I'm basically the facilitator. Okay, so that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Bell. If you don't know what I mean by Bell, Bell is our major provider of internet, telephone, mobile, and television service in this country. Basically, we have two major companies that provide it in Canada, Bell and Rogers. Both are horrible. It's basically a monopoly because Bell owns a lot of the other little companies out there that, you don't think they're associated with Bell, but they are, and the same with Rogers. And I even heard, I think Quilter saw it on something or whatever, that Bell owns certain parts of Rogers. So, I mean, first of all, you're going up against a monopoly. And yeah, our government regulates them, but not well. Not well. They are a powerful, powerful company. And pricing reflects that, because we pay through the teeth for all these services. But that's not what my complaint is with them today. My complaint with them is how they can take something that is so simple and make it so complex. You know that my mother moved, well, yeah, maybe you didn't know. Yeah, you did know that she was going to move from a semi-private room to a private room. And I had to phone Bell and make arrangements to move her television and her telephone service to her new room. Now, her new room is on the same floor in the same building that she's living in, has been living in all the time. It's a nursing home, okay? The room she's moving into already has a connection for the telephone, a connection for the TV, and according to the people in the nursing home, they felt that it probably could be done remotely. Well, I doubted that. But, because Bell likes to come and do what Bell needs to do, whatever it is. Also, it's a complicated time, right? They said that they would let in the service people to do what they needed to do. They would, enact their protocols to keep the residents and the staff and everybody safe and all that kind of thing. But I had to make the arrangements. So I went online to their website because they have a chat mode in there. Now, I've used the chat mode before, and there's a simple reason why I use the chat mode as opposed to phoning them. And here's why. And please, I'm not being racist about this. This is a reality. I don't understand the person on the other end of the phone when I call because they have a very strong accent. Because basically Bell hires out third-party companies to look after this. And they do not speak English well. And I don't understand what we're talking about. And so, it's already complicated enough to get services moved from this company without having to try and stumble through an accent. And I never understand this about companies, especially a communications company. Clear communication is absolutely key. I am in Canada. We speak English for the most part, or French, okay? So it behooves the company not to have a service person dealing with you who cannot speak the language clearly. I don't care about equal opportunity employment. This has nothing to do with your background, your racial background at all in terms of hiring. A qualification for the job where you have to deal with the public means you must be able to have a clear command of the native language of the customers that you are speaking with. That's not rocket science. That's just good business, isn't it? However, that does not seem to be what Bell does. So I use chat mode because there's no accent. There may be a little bit of grammar problem in the typing, but I can get over that. I can understand what they're trying to say. So that's what I use. And usually too, I find I get somebody, a contact person, relatively quickly. More quickly than their phone service. Their phone service, you go through 50,000 menus before you get to the point where you have to wait for a service person. And you know, you always get that thing. Your call's important to us. We are experiencing more above average volume of calls. Please be patient. Your call will be answered in the order that it was received. And then sometimes there's a little message on. It's approximately 5 minutes waiting. It's never 5 minutes, more like 50. Lie. So I use chat. So I did on this particular day. Now, I've done it enough times that I know what they're going to ask me right off the bat. I've got to give the name that's on the account. I've got to give the account number. I've got to give the address. I've got to give the phone number. Okay, fine. So what I do before I go into chat is I type this all up in my word processor. And when I get into chat, I just cut and paste it right in for them. I'm thinking I'm being very clever when I do that. Well, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, because I swear the person at the other end doesn't even read it when it comes up. Because there it all is. They come on and go, hi, and it's always a weird name. And I don't know if these names are legit or not. In fact, the ones that came up this time were ones I could not pronounce. So I have a feeling they were legitimate names. Oftentimes I've been on there and you get like generic names like, hi, I'm Karen. Hi, I'm Melissa. Something like that. But this one was, hi, I'm Abakashifash. Like I said, I didn't know how to pronounce it. So fine and dandy. I don't care what their name is. I really don't. That doesn't bother me at all. They could say, hi, how are you? And that would be enough. Even just hi would do. So let's get down to business here. So I went, hi, boom, pasted in everything. Yeah. All the information they would ask me for and what I want. Okay, well this person did read it, which was nice because oftentimes they just cut right in and what can I do with it? I just put it there and then I have to do it again. That's why I put it in my word processor and cut and paste it in advance because I know they're probably not going to read it. Well, this time they did. And the person on the end says, oh yes, I can help you with that, sir, no problem. Just give me a moment to call up your account. So I, sing to myself, music. And they finally came back on. It wasn't all that long at that point. About a minute, something like that, fine. And they come back. Well, then this is where things got complicated. So I see here that your mother is living at, and they gave the address. And I says, that's correct. I've already given them that information. I guess they're just verifying it. And so you want to move her service to a new location. Yes, I already gave that in the information above. What is the address of the new location? It's the address I gave you above. Oh, I'll be right back. 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, they come back. Okay, so, and repeats the address. But says apartment number. Says, well, it's not really an apartment, it's a room number. She's in a nursing home. That was where things went awry. The person on the other end did not understand the concept of a nursing home, which I didn't understand. So that's what makes me suspect this person was not living in our country, that it was someplace over across the big pond. You know what I'm saying. So I said, it's a long-term care residence. My mother is elderly. She's being looked after there. Oh, okay, sir. Well, I think I can help you with that. Well, thank you. Just give me a couple of moments here. Thank you. Off they went. Okay, now this is where things are going. 5 minutes goes by, 6 minutes go by. Person finally comes back in. Okay, sir, ask me again to verify the address and the room number changes. I gave that stuff to them. I've given it to them now a couple of times. And their services. They have Bell Phone, basic. They have Bell Fibe TV, basic. Okay, sir, I'll be right back. This time they're gone for a good 10 minutes. They come back, they appear, And all I get is suddenly this statement comes across the chat thing saying, okay, we're switching you over to another agent that will be able to help you with your request. Bang. And then what comes up? Basically, their form of Muzak in chat mode. Every 30 seconds, a statement comes across. Your call is important to us. There will be, all our agents are busy right now. Please stay on the line. Your call will be answered in the order that it has been come to us in, or whatever, and this kind of stuff. And I'm looking at this thing. So I sit. 1 minute passes, 2 minutes passes, 3 minutes pass. At this point, I've now been on the phone for about 45 minutes, or on the computer for 45 minutes. So I figure, all right, I'm going to sit here and wait, but I'm going to call their number. So I did. I called their number. Actually, I got somebody fairly quickly, which I found was weird. And what was even more weird was that the person that was on the other end of the phone line, I could understand. No accent. Well, bonus. Meanwhile, though, I'm keeping the chat thing open and it's still coming, and agents are all busy. They'll be with you momentarily, blah, blah, blah. So I explained to this woman what I want to do. I give her all the information about the account, and she's sitting right there at a computer. I can hear her clicking away. And, oh, yes, sir, I see that right there, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that should not be a problem, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this will work faster. Meanwhile, she's, I just need to check a couple of things, and I'll be right back. Please do not hang up. I'm not. Meanwhile, I get a person on the chat end. Okay, I got 2 of them going now for the same thing. So I said, the person's another one with a weird name, said, there is no need for you to retype in the information you were discussing with the other agent. I have it here in front of me. I'm just going to, just give me a moment. I'm going to review it. Fine. Meanwhile, I'm still on hold with the landline. Finally, the one on the landline, or the phone line, comes back on and says, okay, and again, the nursing home thing seems to throw them for a loop. What's difficult to understand about a nursing home? So I had to define a nursing home for them again. And, I mean, it's in it. It says, Glen Hill, Strath Haven, here's the address, wow, wow, wow. Belle has been there many times before, but apparently this person on the other end of the line didn't know what that was. So I clarify that with her and everything. But this time, unlike the first one I had on chat, she's a little more efficient. She seems to get it. So she says, okay, sir, I just have to do a couple of things here and I'll be right back. Thank you for holding. The other one on the chat comes back on. And so I see that. It says, actually, I said right now I have somebody on the phone line who's working on this for me. And it says, oh, okay. Well, if you'd like, I can verify through your account that this is going through. Okay, I got 2 people working on this now. I thought, what the heck? Can't hurt. I said, okay, go ahead, you do that. Great, I'll be here. That person on the chat went away. In comes the one on the phone again. And I'm definitely multitasking here. So the other one comes on and says, okay, sir. So just goes over the services that my mother has and says, okay, we can do that. And I said, okay. At this point, neither side have asked me when I wanted this done. I had mentioned, though, that my mother was moving on Wednesday. This was Monday. So the one on the phone line, I said, okay, so when can this be done? There's a pause for a second. It was like, oh, you want it done? Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. She says, oh, okay, just let me call up the schedule. Blah, 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 blah. Here, type. She says, well, we could have a technician. And I said, preferably on Wednesday would be good because that's the day she's moving into her new room. I was figuring they'd say, okay, we can get there in about 2 weeks. Nope. They could have somebody come pretty much any time that day. They give you windows. There's 3 different windows of 4-hour blocks. So I picked one that was in the afternoon because my mother was being moved, as far as I knew, at 10 o'clock in the morning. So let her get in the new room, let them do their thing. So I booked it all. They gave me a confirmation number. And then, just when I thought, meanwhile, the chat one had come back on, and I said, thank you very much. I can see that there's something being done. Okay, that's good for you. I said, not to worry. Thank you for your help. It's already been looked after by the person on the phone line. Goodbye. Thank you. And so, is there anything else we can help you with today, sir? No, 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 no. You've been plenty helpful right now. So the chat one goes off the line, and I'm back with the voice line one. So she comes back on, gets my mother's thing all booked, and then she starts to talk about COVID. And she reads to me this script about all the things, like you've got to stay 6 feet away from the person. You've got to be wearing a mask. You can't. The list went on and on and on, and I just let her rattle on because, well, when she got finished, I said, yes, okay, I agree to all of that. Now, one thing she said in this, has there been anybody in the home, and this means the residents, like my own home kind of thing, who's had been tested and come back positive for COVID? And I said, no. Now, not really true about the situation that this person is going to be walking into, but it is controlled. Okay? And as I said, a week ago, there was one case, and it's turned out the results have come back. It was a false positive. And I said, after they went through this whole darn list that took forever, because it wasn't just about COVID, it's about their standard stuff. You know, if you have a pet, lock it in a cage. If you have children, lock them in the cage. There has to be somebody in the house that's 18 years or older in there. You have to have, make all equipment accessible, blah, 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 right? So I didn't bother to mention that well, at the end of it, I said, okay. And by the way, I said, just for your own, for your service person's protection, this is a nursing home, and they have protocols already in place for protecting their staff and residents and anybody coming into the home as well. She says, okay, sir, well, that's great. And I said, okay, thank you. Oh, and then at the end, it says, the service technician will call you about 15 minutes before they're about to arrive. And I said, well, what number should they call? They had my cell phone, they had my landline. I said, I won't be there. It's a nursing home. There will be staff there to assist the person who comes in. Again, this is not unusual. The service people from Bell have been there before to do this stuff. However, I suppose the person on the line is not the service person, so maybe they don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know what they know. Quite frankly, I don't think they know much. I said, I will give you the desk at the nursing home, the reception desk number. They will know you are coming, because I called them as soon as I got off the call to let them know that this was happening. And they already knew that it was going to be happening, but I just confirmed everything for them. Okay? So I got off the phone, and then, it was well over an hour and a half to move a phone and television connection from one room to another room in the same building. That's all it was. Why does it have to be so bloody complicated? Why is it that the people who are supposed to be there to help you, customer representatives, don't know what they're doing? Why is it that customer representatives read from a script, and if you deviate from that script, they have no idea what to do? This is bad training. Really bad training. And what's ironic in this case is this is a company that deals at a professional level with communication, yet their customer representatives are not trained in effective communication. So to add more injury to this situation, I get an email with a link to do a survey about the customer service. So I filled it out. Did I give them a glowing rating? No, I did not. In fact, on each question they asked, I gave it the lowest rating. Except the one where it asked if the customer service representative was courteous and polite or something like that. That one I gave a little higher rating because they were courteous and polite. They were just idiots. Okay? And it's probably not the individual's fault. It's the fault with the training that they get. I mean, how can it be really their fault? They can only do what they're trained to do. So, maybe one with a little bit more initiative could go outside of the script, and think about things. But nevertheless, it's the company's fault. And, I know that survey will fall on deaf ears. I don't even know why they send them out, because they really don't pay any attention to what people say on them. Most time I don't even bother to fill them out because I know that. But I did fill this one out. Will somebody contact me about it? They have my email address on the thing. No. I'll hear nothing. Nothing at all with them. So what I'm pissed off about is, again, it boils down to good customer service, good customer relations. But unfortunately, in this case with Bell, it doesn't matter. They don't care because they're a monopoly. So who else are you going to get? Go to Rogers, the other one, their competition? They're just as bad. I know. I used to be with Rogers and I moved to Bell. So, whatever. That's the way it is. I just, I feel sorry for older people that might have to deal with this and the problems they would have with it. It's really not right. I mean, I'm an older person, but I'm still with it most days. So, I can handle it. But I'm thinking if my mother had to do this on her own, there is no bloody way she would have been able to. And there's a lot of people in that situation. So what I say is to these companies, think about your customer relations. If, customer relationships in companies is 3/4 of your business. Really. If you want happy clientele, then, you need to have effective customer relations. So that's why I'm pissed off at this week. Okay, so what's next? Product reviews. Okay, I bought a whole pile of fabric because we went on a little fabric excursion journey. Tuesday of this past week, we've had it being in the house. It's summer, the weather is nice. So we thought we'd go to an area called Prince Edward County that's east of us by about an hour and a half. And it's sort of wine country. There's a lot of little wineries and that there, but we didn't go for the wine. We went because there's a couple of fabric stores in a town out in that way called Belleville. One that we'd been to before that has a really great selection of fabrics, although they're a bit on the pricey side to what we're used to paying. And then we went to another one we'd never been to before that had really good prices but less of a selection. But I was still able to spend about $600 on fabric. And then we did lunch on a patio in another little town. And it was almost like normal again, except of course, tables were 6 feet apart. Everything was hosed down with disinfectant. We were wearing masks, all that stuff in every situation. But it was a nice day out and it made us feel like humans again. So rather than pull up all the fabric here and show it to you, I made a little video of the fabric, and so I will insert it right here. Okay, so I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone with this little video insert here. I'm going to post this on both of my Idiot Quilter and on here on the vlog. So I'm sorry if you watch both of those and this is a repeat. You can just fast forward through this depending on which one you're watching it on. But I thought this was easier to show you what I had purchased very recently. So I went off on an excursion, Walter and I did, down to an area called Prince Edward County. And in Prince Edward County, there's a lot of wineries. It's kind of east of us by about an hour and a half. And there's, nice little towns. And there's one place called Belleville. And Belleville has 2 quilting stores that I know of. One I have been to before, the other I had never been to before. And the one I had been to before was the first one on our stop, and I bought a lot of fabric there, and it's called Fun with Stitches. The prices there are a little bit higher than what I'm used to paying here at Ultimate Sewing in Oshawa, but not that much so. They ranged in price from $16, $17, $99 a meter up to about $20, $21.99 for a meter, depending on what you were buying. But their selection is great. They have all kinds of things. So I'm going to show you what I bought there. And the other one we went to was called Craft Village. I had never been to this one before. Much smaller store, selection not as good. They also had a lot of wool, so if you were a knitter, I think this would be a great destination for you. But their prices were fantastic. The lowest I've seen anywhere. Most of their fabric was $12.99 a meter, and I'm used to paying $15 a meter, so that was really good. So I stocked up on a few things there, and in both cases, both stores, I was looking for Christmas fabrics. So I'm going to show you what I got there, but before I do, I'm going to show you something else that I just got from the quiltstore.ca. I ordered this online. I wanted a ruler, a 2.5-inch ruler that was really long. So they were the only place I found one online that was Canadian, and that the price was fairly reasonable as well as the shipping. So $29.99 got me this sucker, and it's broken. How nice. I just realized that. I haven't even taken it out of the package. I'm going to have to send them a note about that. Great. Anyways, this is a 2.5-inch by 24.5-inch ruler. And why did I want one this size? Because 2.5-inch strips are very common in quilting. And although I have a stripology ruler that allows me to cut them, I have to fold the fabric over about 4 times to get to fit into that ruler. Whereas this one, I can do it basically half the width of fabric. A width of fabric is about 44 inches. This is 24.5. So that's why I got it. And now I'm very sadly disappointed. I'm going to have to send them an email and tell them that it came to me broken. So I'm going to do that after I finish this. I also ordered some fabric. Since I was paying $12 for shipping anyways, I thought I should load up a little bit. They had this on sale. It's a piece of batik. I only got 1 meter of it, but I kind of liked it, so I threw that in with the order. Okay, here's the stuff that I got. So let's start with Fun with Stitches. Nice little bag. That is full. And what did we buy? I'm just going to pull them out one by one and take only a few seconds on each. I bought some gnome fabric. Now, you would have seen in one of my previous videos that I had bought some gnome fabric before, and I think I bought only 1 meter and it was in flannel. This I bought 2 meters of because I thought it would go with the other one quite well, and apparently you can mix flannel with cotton without any problem. So I was on the hunt for Christmas fabric, so I got that. Very nice. This is not a Christmas fabric, but I couldn't resist it. I really liked the colors and the pattern in that. I told Walter that might make a nice shirt. Again, this is a Christmas fabric, but could work with other things as well. Of course, some traditional green and with a little gold. A smaller print of poinsettias, actually holly with berries. And I bought some more blue because I have some blue, and I like to move out of the traditional Christmas colors. And there was one blue that I bought some time ago that I bought it online, and it's a Christmas fabric, and it's not really what I thought it was going to be, but I'm thinking it might work with this, and that would sort of offset it. And then this is not a Christmas fabric either, but I just thought it was great. It's from Northcott. I've bought lots of their fabric before, but I really like the colors in it. And that one I think I can use with a lot of things. So that's the fabric I bought at Fun with Stitches. Now, what did I buy from the other place? Big paper bag full. So let's just pull it out. I did buy a pattern because I saw these. They had some on display and I thought they were really cute, and I asked if there was a pattern, and this is the pattern, and it looks like this pattern makes a Christmas wreath as well. So I got that, and I'll show you in future videos how that turns out. I also bought little packages of embellishments, maybe for the tree, because she had little ornaments hanging from the tree, just little miniature things about the size of these bells. She didn't have any in the stores. She said she just got them at Michael's. So I'll look at my stash and maybe I'll go to Michael's and get some, because I thought that was a nice finishing thing. Then I found these. These are fat quarters, and actually, I'm not even sure if they're fat quarters. Yeah, they are. But I just thought the colors were fantastic. So I bought 4 of these, and I forget what these got, $4.50 a piece. That's a little higher than I usually pay at Ultimate Sewing for fat quarters, but I've never seen any that look like this at Ultimate Sewing. Okay, so I told you that the fabric at this place, Craft Village, was like $12.99 a meter. So I stocked up on some of the Northcott, what I would call blenders, because these never come amiss. And I got some orange, and I've got some red, and I got some gray, and I got, what else did I get? I got some blue, and I got some purple. So all of those, they'll go with all kinds of things. And yes, I did buy Christmas fabric. Oh, before I show you the Christmas fabric, I also bought a couple of meters of a tone-on-tone kind of a white, because these never come amiss. I use them a lot in many, many quilts. So I really need to go to Ultimate Sewing and get a bolt again, because I do go through it quite regularly. Okay, so I only bought 2 Christmas fabrics there. I bought this one, a little bit more vintage. It caught my eye. I'm sure I can work it into something. And then I bought something I never buy. I bought a panel. Now, remember the gnome fabric that I bought and I talked about just a moment ago? Not sure what I'm going to do with it? Well, I've come up with an idea. I bought this panel because if I get it unwrapped here, yeah, get it the right way up. I bought this panel because it has gnomes on it. And what I'm thinking of doing is I can do a border with the other gnome fabrics all around this, do some free motion quilting on it, and it'll make a nice wall hanging, actually a door hanging for the front door of my house at Christmas time. I think it's kind of cute. So as I've said, I don't usually buy panels, but I did this time. So those were my purchases on my fabric day out excursion, or day out fabric excursion, or just a day out. It was nice. Okay, so you can see I got a lot of new fabric. Plus you saw the part about the ruler that I bought. I have contacted the company, thequiltstore.ca, which I find have excellent customer service, by the way. I sent them an email and told them what happened with that ruler. They sent me one right back and said, so sorry about that. They would send me out a new one. They sent me another email saying that they were out of stock, but they had them on order. I asked them how long it might take to get it. And they said about a week to 10 days. And as soon as it came in, they would send it out to me. So good. That's being looked after. They didn't ask me to send the broken one back. And actually I fixed it. Well, sort of. I was able to use my Gorilla Glue to put the tip back on. So it is usable to a point. The only thing is you got a bump at the end. You don't want that when you're using a rotary cutter with it. But nevertheless, no problems. They're sending me a brand new one. So that's customer service. That is supreme. Okay, what else did we buy? Well, Walter and I also on Thursday went off to IKEA and did click and pick up. And basically I ordered 4 Alex cabinets and a tabletop to replace the folding table I was using in my sewing room and to give me more storage. So with a brand new IKEA counter. And I will insert a picture of what that looks like right in here so you can see too. I really like that setup. And if I ever change over my craft room to a sewing room, I'll be able to transfer that stuff into the sewing room as well. So, I mean, well, not bad price really. It cost me $500 to do that. And that's not out of the way, really, I don't think. Some assembly required, of course. Thank goodness. Walter's had lots of experience putting IKEA furniture together, so away he went. It only took him 4 hours to do it. But everything's organized, everything's neatly in there, and I'm very pleased with it. Okay, let's talk now about Book of the Week. Another one from my stash called the Penland Book of Handmade Books, Master Classes in Bookmaking Techniques. Very thorough book, nice pictures, step by step on how to put things together. It also gives you lots of ideas for very unique books and journals and things like that. So again, if you're really serious about getting into bookbinding, into journal making, this book you may find very, very useful. And price-wise, I don't know what I paid. It's not on here. Oh, yes, it is. $23.95 Canadian at the time, and that's not bad because this is a fairly hefty book. Well bound, well constructed, glossy pictures, the whole bit. So that's not a bad price. So I looked it up on Amazon, and it's there for $23.89 plus shipping. So the price really, what did I say? $23.95? Price is about the same. Of course, you got to pay shipping for it. So really, all around, pretty good value for the money, I would say, with that. It's by a company called Lark Crafts. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to find it on Amazon because of that, but I did. So, and I think there were some listed as used as well. So, good book. I put the link for it in the show notes. Okay, so that takes us to the next part of my bookhouse project. And here we go. So now I'm going to enhance the door and the windows, and the way I'm going to do that is I went onto my Cricut and I looked up a door file, and this was the one I selected, and I looked up a window file, and this is the one I selected. Now I had to do some alteration in the sizing so they'll fit on what I have here, but essentially they'll go right over the top of these. Now I need to still cut some vellum for these windows, and they don't fit exactly. You can see there's a little bit of the house itself, but I think once the vellum's on, it's not really going to make a much difference with that. So with the door, it's ready to go, except I want to try something. I want to see if I can put a little silhouette in behind this that looks like somebody's looking out through the screen door kind of a thing. So I'm going to locate a few pieces for that, and I'm going to cut the vellum for these windows, and I'm going to assemble these. And the way I'm doing this, I'll just show you. I've got some Stays On Timber Brown ink, and this pad is getting a little dry, so I'm really having to rub it to get some ink onto it. And I'm just going to go around the edges of the window frame just to make them pop a little bit from the background of the house. And I have these little shutter pieces which were all part of that pre-made cut file on Cricut. And I'm just going to go around each one of these little shutters with a little bit of this ink. Again, this is to make it sort of pop out from the background of the window frame itself, and then from the house too. And then I'm taking some of my Tombow glue, and this has a nice little fine tip on it, and since these are fairly fine pieces right here, I'm just adding a little bead of glue around the edge. And these already have little louvers in them, as you can see. So there may be a little bit of glue that will run into those, but that's okay because it dries clear. I don't think it'll be noticeable. Just centering it right there onto the window frame. Let's get that positioned. A little bit of my glue is running over the edge. Just cleaning that up with my finger. One of your best art tools, your finger. And there, we have that done. Now, as I said, I've got to cut some vellum for the back, and I have another window to go. So when I come back, I'll show you what those look like. So I have the vellum in each one of my doors, or windows, and I'm going to mount the door and the windows to each of these parts. And I'm just going to use some more Tombow glue for this.
Now I'm trying not to get it onto... Oh, I forgot something I was going to try. I'll be right back. So here what I almost forgot. I want to use some of Tim Holtz's little paper dolls and put them on the inside as if they're looking out. So you can see I have this boy here. He's looking out the screen door. And then we have possibly his parents looking out this one. And there's another little boy with his dog on the side window. And on this window, another little girl with some flowers as well. So it makes the house look like it's occupied. And you also notice that those parts that didn't quite fit exactly right underneath these window frames really is not so noticeable anymore either by doing this. So I've got them glued on here, that they need to dry a little bit. Now I'm thinking, what can I do with this house? And possibly around the tops of these windows. I'm thinking maybe some kind of valance around the windows and maybe some little gingerbready kind of things along the gables here and on the edges as well. So I'm going to take a look in the files that I have on my Cricut and see if I can find something that I think I can make work for this, and I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, so now I put some little gingerbread or whatever they call that on the gables, the little overhang pieces, and I cut those out using my Cricut, and they were just a simple scalloped edge that I shrunk down and made into little 4-inch lengths and glued them on there. And then I added some distress stickles in sort of a brownie color just randomly around the gables, and this is still wet, so that's why I'm holding on to it like this. Once that dries, it'll give it sort of a rustic look, and I put some of them around the tops of the windows and the door as well. So now I'm thinking that maybe the gables on the front here and maybe on the sides need something else, maybe like a little kind of triangular window or something like that. So I'm going to look on the Cricut library site and see if there's anything there that I could cut out that would work for that as well. So I'll see what else I find, and I'll be back as this dries. Okay, so I've added the dormer windows to this, and I thought I would just put it on this little rotating mat so you can see all sides of it. So you see the dormers on that side and up there. And this is the back. Got a little picture of a cathedral that came out of that book that I used. I never noticed that before, but that's okay. I'll just leave it there. And there we go. So now it's coming along. It looks like a bit of a rustic little cottage kind of piece. And I've not finished embellishing it yet. You noticed I put some stickles to look like gravel down on the base of this. And I think I want to add a few more things to it, but I'm not exactly sure what. I'm thinking of adding a weather vane to the chimney. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. And I might add some little cutout bushes along the edges of the front and possibly along the sides as well, and maybe some little fake trees. I got some little fake trees as well. So we'll see. That'll be in the next segment.
Okay, so events in the past week. Already talked about my mother. She's moved into her new room. When I called her on Wednesday or Thursday actually, to make sure everything was set up and with her TV and her phone and everything like that, and I knew she would find something negative to say about the new situation, and she did. So she didn't disappoint me on that one. Apparently, well, the room's not very big. And I said to her, well, Mom, what were you expecting? A suite? The room, yeah, is big enough for one single bed, but it's more room than she had in the room she was sharing. Now, I haven't seen the room, but I know the lady that had been in this room before had a lazy boy chair and a chest of drawers as well, which my mother would not have been able to have gotten something like that into her old room. So it's bigger. And the bathroom smells, apparently. And as my mother put it, I think somebody did a load and it didn't go all the way down. Okay, Mom, well, why don't you mention that to the staff? Well, I will. And I said, good for you. I'm trying to teach my mother she has to be her own advocate. It's not working that well. I'm sure that's not the problem. I mean, yeah, nursing homes do have a smell. It's called the smell of old people and death. So, but been in the nursing home many times when we could before, and actually the one thing I'll say about this nursing home is it doesn't smell, and that's a good sign. If you walk into a nursing home and you can smell urine, that kind of stuff in there, there's a problem. If you walk into a nursing home and you can't smell those kind of things, then you know they're looking after things properly. And this one, you can't smell these things. It's just my mother. She's only happy when she's bitching. So anyways, she's moved in. I'll call her later this week, hear what else she has to complain about. It wouldn't be my mother if she didn't complain. Okay, so what else this week, events in the past week? All right, I mentioned about the Zoom meeting, the Art Journal Zoom group, but one thing I didn't mention was that one of the ladies said she had a whole bunch of these. These are little boxes that had little wooden things in them, bought them at the dollar store. In fact, I've got a collection of them. I got about 3. She suggested other people had these too, and they're sitting around. We don't know what to do with them. So we've set up a challenge to transform these into something else. Like little shadow boxes or something like that. We've given ourselves a due date, November 22nd. That'll be a meeting date when we will share what we do with them. So I've been trying to think of some ideas of what I can do with these little boxes. I have a few ideas in my head, but I have to go from there. So I think I may have to go off to the dollar store again to see if I can find some little elements or things that might inspire me that I could use. Like these could be little shadow boxes. I don't know, but kind of an intriguing idea to see what we can do with it. And the reason I held on to these things was simply for that. I thought, well, you know, there must be something I can do with them because they're little wooden boxes, you know, like got to be something. So we'll see. And Walter cooked again this week, and he's back at pasta making again. So last time I showed you a little video of him making bolognese. This week he was making spinach and ricotta cannelloni. So I'm going to start the video right here. It's Pasta Saturday with Wally's Wonderful Pasta Making. And what kind of pasta are we making this week, Mr. Walter?
Cannelloni.
Can of who?
Cannelloni.
Cannelloni. And what's in the cannelloni?
It's spinach and ricotta cheese.
Oh, another
Parmesan.
one. And another one of his specialties. I think he must have had Italian in his bloodline somewhere.
Might have been. Rumor was it was always a Spaniard in there, but...
Yeah, I think it was more of an Italian than that. Well, your mother got around. But, so, once again, we're making cannelloni noodles this time. And what makes cannelloni noodles different from those other ones that I can't say?
They're a different shape.
It's the same basic stuff. And these are kind of, is there any meat in these?
No.
Spinach and ricotta, isn't it?
Yeah.
So these are vegan. Well, maybe not because there's eggs, isn't there, in the pasta. Yeah. So it's vegetarian. Yummy. And not only is Walter a pasta maker, he's also a bread maker. And he's got his fresh baguettes in the oven. They're coming along very nicely. Have you made your stuffing yet for your
Yeah, I've got them here.
Oh, where is it?
Here.
Oh, it's green stuff. Oh, so now you're spreading it into the pasta. This is easier than buying those cannelloni noodles. You don't have to stuff them, you just roll them in this. Well, it's not easier because you have to make pasta. But so look at that. And this is what they look like when you get them stuffed. They're laid on the sauce, and then you put some sauce on top. And then you bake it. Yummy, yummy. And it was indeed delicious. One thing that I forgot to insert, and I'm going to insert it right here now, and this is why this looks a little different position, is our little day excursion to buy the fabric. So I thought you might be interested in seeing the area we went to and where we went for lunch. So I'm going to insert that right in here now.
Here's something we haven't been able to do all summer long. We're on a road trip. We're on a fabric excursion, and we're heading to the eastern part of Ontario to a place called Belleville, which is only about a little over an hour away from where we live. And right now we're on the major highway across southern Ontario, the 401, heading towards Belleville. And in Belleville there are two fabric stores we want to stop at. One's called Fun with Stitches, yeah, I said Stitches, and the other one is called Craft something. Can't remember what it was called. Craft something. Anyways, it's been there a long time, and I didn't know about that one. The other one, Fun with Stitches, we have been there before, and they're a little on the pricey side in fabric. They average around 20 bucks a meter. This other place that starts with Craft, they're around $13.99 a meter or something like that, which isn't bad. So we'll see what we see. And today Miss Daisy is being driven by Walter. Say hello, Walter.
Hello, Walter.
Get your eyes back on the road. Don't want an accident. So, fun, fun, fun. Now we are going with our masks, of course, because same thing applies out here as it does in our area. And I'm sure there might be some number restrictions as to how many people go in the shops, but it is a Tuesday, and it's probably not that busy. Of course, you never know with quilt stores. So I'll show you what those look like when we get there. So we're heading for lunch somewhere. We're being very daring today, as we have not been out for months and months. So, of course, we're doing these are all safe places with the restrictions, the masks, the whole bit. But I was going to show you the two fabric stores that we went to, quilting stores, and I forgot to take video of it. I got too excited buying fabric. I might in here insert a couple of pictures from their websites so you can see what they look like. But right now, we're in the wilderness, sort of. I mean, it's really not wilderness. This area of Ontario, they do have some wineries down here. It's called Prince Edward County. And we have been down here before for little wine excursions to try different things. That's not on our agenda today, of course. But it's a nice little area. It's become very popular in the last few years. A lot of people come down here and do the wineries and stay the weekend or for a few days. It's very picturesque. It is on a big body of water that's a subsidiary of Lake Ontario called Quilter Bay. And there's also a place here called Picton, and there is a sandy beach area, which I actually have never been to in my life. But when Walter was a little boy, a little Dutch boy, his mommy and daddy used to take him there so he could...
Yeah, because my parents had friends that lived in Picton, so we used to come down here every once in a while, and then my parents and the other people would go down to the beach in Picton. Yeah.
In 1 kilometer, turn left onto County Road 4.
Yeah, thanks a lot, bitch. But anyways, yeah. But I myself have never been, but I'm not a beach person. And my parents were really not beach people either, so that's why we never really came down here. But it is very, very popular in the summer. Now, right now, of course, they have restrictions because of COVID and everything on it. But there's also a little town down here called Bloomfield that we've been to several times before. And
turn left onto County Road 4.
And it's got a lot of little gitchy kind of shops and things in it as well. So, you know, when we're not in the COVID thing again, it's a little nicer to come down and do this part of the world, since you don't have to worry about wearing masks.
In 11 kilometers, turn left onto County Road 34.
She's rude. She's just rude. Interrupts me. Figures it's a woman's voice too. Well, not going there. I'll get in trouble. But anyways, this just gives you an idea of what this area in sort of central eastern Ontario looks like, about an hour and a half away from where we live. So, stupid me, I forgot to show you what the stores look like that we went to inside. The first one was Fun with Stitches, and here's their website. Great little place, had lots and lots of things to choose from. Place was called Craft Village, and the prices were really good here, and I bought quite a bit of stuff here too. In both of them I spent way too much money, and I have shown you on today's vlog what I spent look like. Okay, so that was a bust. The place we were going to and thought we might have lunch, just way too many people there. Turns out it's sort of a resort area as well, and it just looked like it was packed. So now we're heading towards a little place that I mentioned before called Bloomfield. And there's supposedly a relatively new place there that I don't know if it'll be packed in there too. It's hard to say. Geez, a lot of people out for something that there's a pandemic going on. Then again, so are we. But anyways, you get an idea of what this country looks like down here. It's very farm-like, as you can see. And it's kind of interesting geographically because it's kind of sandwiched off to a part of the lake. There's actually another little lake here that is separate from Lake Ontario. So you're close to bodies of water, but they are sort of bodies of water that are all interconnected and eventually flow into Lake Ontario. And that's why this is kind of a resort area, because people like to come here in the summertime with their boats and things. And
not only that, it's somewhat more moderate temperature.
yeah, it's not really as hot because you get the breeze off the water and things like that.
And it tends not to get as cold in the wintertime.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a temperate climate in the wintertime too. That does not mean they don't have snow. They do. It is, after all, still Canada. But it's just a piece of it that maybe you've never seen before. So we're in Bloomfield now, and we have to wait a while to get a table, of course, because of social distancing and everything. And they took our cell phone number, and they'll give us a call. She said it'd be about 30 minutes. We'll see. There's a rain cloud kind of going over the top here, but I think it'll keep going. And so there's this little place here full of antiques and things. And that's really what this little town is all about. As I said before, a lot of gitchy little places, antique, novelty items, things like that. It's nice to come here in the summer. You can see even with COVID that it's pretty popular, pretty busy. Oliver's checking his phone. And this is the main street of Bloomfield down here, way down there. It's not a very big place, just a little place. We'll take a little bit more when we walk down a little further. Across the street is where we have our name in, but we're checking another place that's just on this side of the street to see what they have. They say the patio is open, it's first come, first serve, as opposed to making reservations, but I don't know what they have. Right here, it's called Sailor House. Yes, it's spelt that way, I guess. Okay, this place, now that I tried to record again, has lots of B&B type places as well. You can see that it is not big. This is it, really. What I have shown you, this is it. And no vacancy. Yeah, so popular place, I guess, for the size of it. But then again, it's very close to the town of Picton, which is a little bit bigger, has more things in it. And of course, I said the beach and things like that. And there's wineries in and around all these areas here. So, I mean, basically, if you stayed here, you'd be sort of centrally located to get to all the wineries if that's your thing. Okay, so we got into this place called Bermuda. And what was really kind of neat is they have the scan barcode on the wall, and you scan it, and that's the menu. So that keeps the menus touchless. All the tables are 6 feet apart, as you can see. Staff are all wearing a face protection, of course. And you know, I just said to Walter, this is the first we've actually been out in a public restaurant since COVID started. It almost feels normal. Almost. Well, normal as fear will make it. So now we're on our way home. It'll take about an hour and a half to get there. And we just had a lovely lunch out, which is something we have not done in months. Well, not since COVID started. So that was kind of nice. It almost felt like normal again. How was your lunch?
Very good.
Keep your eyes on the road. Walter had the chicken thingy and I had the hamburger thingy.
But it didn't sound exciting, but actually it was very good.
Actually, it's very nicely seasoned, so
Yeah.
which was kind of interesting. Either that or just because it's been so long since we've had food out, except for, like,
For home cooking.
take out from McDonald's or Wendy's. We'd forgotten what real food tastes like. I don't know. But anyways, we're stuffed now, so I don't know what we're having for dinner tonight. Probably a toothpick and a glass of water.
So, coming up, well, my brother, who lives out in BC, it's his birthday tomorrow, his 59th. God, that makes me feel even older when my younger brother's turning 59. Where'd the time go? Well, you know that my brother and I have sort of a strained relationship for whatever reason. I'm really not sure, but we do. But on my birthday, he texted me out of the blue. And we had a little conversation via texting. And I thought, well, I'm going to return the favor because as far as I'm concerned, it's my brother reaching out. And I am not going to bite the hand that reaches out. I have no grudge against my brother. It just, for some reason, and I don't know what the reason is. I haven't been able to understand it, why we have a strained relationship. So I'm going to send him an email wishing him a happy birthday tomorrow and also bringing him up to speed about what's going on with our mother and everything like that. And that means I'm opening up, or I'm trying to leave the door open that between us in communication. I only have one brother, and you know, I really don't want to shuffle off this mortal coil having regrets about, you know, not talking to my brother anymore. So, I mean, it's not like my brother and I were close as kids, because we weren't. I'm 4 years older than my brother, and we're both like very different from each other. Maybe we're more like each other as we get older. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a couple of years, and when I did see him last, it was for 5 minutes. I was in the time when my mother was in the hospital waiting for a room in the nursing home, and he and his wife flew in for something else, and they didn't expect to see Walter and I when they came in to see my mother in the hospital. It was kind of like deer in headlights when they came around the corner and went, hi. But anyways, at that point in time, we did talk on the phone before they went back out west, back to Abbotsford. And I thought at the time we'd opened up the channels of communication again. Well, not really. It hadn't. But so now, a couple of years later, I got this text message from him. So I'm trying to pry the door open a little bit more. You know, he's family. You got to do those kind of things. Okay, so the next Craft and Chat Zoom session will be on September the 2nd at 1 p.m. I will publish the link for that if you want to join in the show notes, not this week, but next week. So next Monday, it will be in the show notes. I'll also put it in next Sunday's show notes for Stephen and Walter Live. And if I do an Idiot Quilter episode sometime between now and then, I will also publish it there. The one we had before, our initial one, was a fair success, and you know that you can check it out. It's on my YouTube channel to get a feel of what went on. I'm hoping we have more people this time. I know that, you know, if some people just can't join that may want to, simply because of the time differences, you know, time zone. And also some people are, you know, they're back physically at work. So I realize that. But there will always be the replay. So that's coming up. Just, you know, if you're interested, keep it in the back of your mind. And as I said, the link to it will be in next week's show notes. And yeah, I think that's about it. Just on a final note, I just want to say I've been noticing that people are becoming a little less rigid about following the protocols for COVID. We're letting our guard down a little bit, and that's coming because some things have opened up a little bit more. And even though we're still, you know, we're wearing the masks and things, we're getting a little freer in way we're doing it. I know we'd all like to go back to what life used to be pre-COVID, but we can't be lax, and we got to keep it in our minds. Like when I went out for lunch this past week, and like I said, it almost felt normal, and it was so easy to let down your guard, and we can't let down our guard. We can't. It's premature. Second wave is going to come. So I'm just putting it out there. Be safe, be cautious, follow the protocols. This thing is not over yet, unfortunately. And if we want it to be over, we have to maintain the restrictions, the whole protocols that have been put into place. So I hope you have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.